At exactly 5:12 a.m., while the village was still asleep, Kofi was already awake. Not because he wanted to be, but because poverty doesn't let you sleep. At 20 years old, Kofi owned only 2 shirts, 1 pair of worn sandals, and a cracked phone that barely held charge. His mother had died when he was 12. His father disappeared years later, leaving him alone in a mud house with a leaking roof and empty nights. Every morning, Kofi walked 5 kilometers to the market not to buy, but to carry loads for others. Sacks of rice, buckets of water, crates heavier than his dreams. For a few coins, people barely looked at him. To them, he was invisible. But inside, Kofi lived a dream so loud it kept him alive. Every night, he sat under a mango tree behind his house and whispered to himself, "One day, I will not live like this." One afternoon, while carrying bags for a wealthy trader, Kofi collapsed. The heat was brutal, his body gave up. Instead of helping, people laughed. "Poor boy," someone said. "He should know his place." But one man didn't laugh. A stranger in a dusty car stepped forward and paid for Kofi's water. He watched him carefully, then asked a simple question. "Why are you working this hard?" Kofi answered honestly, "Because I have no choice, but I refuse to stay poor." The man smiled. He introduced himself as Mr. Aid, a businessman who had failed more times than he had succeeded. Before leaving, he gave Kofi something unexpected, not money, but a phone number. "Call me if you're serious about changing your life." That night, Kofi didn't sleep. Fear fought hope inside him. But the next morning, he called. Mr. Aid didn't promise riches. He promised work. Kofi became an assistant cleaning offices, running errands, learning silently. He watched everything, asked questions, took notes, failed, learned again. For 3 years, he earned almost nothing. But he learned everything. Then one day, Mr. Aid handed him a small envelope. Inside was start-up money and one sentence. "It's your turn to try." Kofi started small, selling goods, reinvesting, failing, standing back up. When others quit, he stayed. When money was lost, he learned. When success came, he stayed humble. 5 years later, Kofi returned to the same village. But this time, he drove in. He rebuilt his mother's house, paid school fees for children who reminded him of himself, offered jobs to young men the world